Are you ready? Stand by.
Welcome to the Three Gun Show, your source for technique, strategy, and match recon, brought to you by Armalite Rifles, LAG Tactical, and Breda Shotguns. I'm your host, Dave Hartman. This edition of the Three Gun Show is a recap of the 2018 IPSC Shotgun World Shoot with Lan Nguyen of Dissident Arms. This podcast is brought to you by Breda USA, Italian shotguns that are the best in the world. And this is a shotgun tech tip from Team Breda. Hey, this is Dave Hartman for the Three Gun Show, and we have Josh Tarrant of Team Breda, and he's here with a shotgun tech tip for you. Josh, what do you got?
Today we're going to talk about shotgun stance. Stance is incredibly important to be able to shoot a shotgun well, manage recoil. So first up, we're going to start at the feet. You want your feet wider than shoulder width apart. If you're right-handed, you want your left leg further forward. You want about 75% of your weight on your left leg, weight over the balls of your feet. You want to have a nice forward lean of your spine. Shoulder the shotgun, roll your shoulder forward to cradle. And that'll help you ride the recoil and get back on target faster.
That's another shotgun tech tip with Josh Tarrant from Team Breda. Thanks, Josh. Check out Breda's B12i 3-gun ready inertia-driven shotgun at BredaUSA.com. That's BREDA. This podcast is brought to you by LAG Tactical. I've been using LAG gear for 3 years now, and I just got an upgrade into their new for 2018 MCS mag pouches. MCS stands for Modular Carry System and is a two-piece design that fits most double-stack 9 and 40 mags and most AR mags. That means I can loan gear to someone in need on the range, even if we're shooting different guns. I've been using these pouches for many matches now, and they've been great. I like that you can choose the retention based on what is required by the stage, Speed Demon or Locked In Tight. I've been shooting the low-cut Supernova holster as well, and it has been a dream. They make it in a mid and high cut too if you're into that, but I'm digging the low cut. Super fast draws and plenty of retention when you need it. Check them out, lagtactical.com, and use code 3GS in all caps to save yourself 10% when placing an order. Thank you for tuning in to the Three Gun Show this week. So much going on in the Three Gun Show world. The busy part of my personal shooting season is spinning up here, and it's going to be all hands on deck, elbows and a-holes for the next few weeks here. I've got the Colorado 3-Gun Championship coming up, the Jeff Kirkwold Memorial match coming up, and travel for both of those. And then going to TriggerCon as well. And then after that, Wyoming Governor's Match and Rocky Mountain 3-Guns. So for the next 6 weeks, I'll be traveling for five of them. Somewhere in there I'm going to sleep. Pretty sure I'm going to sleep. But the other thing I'm doing is we have this run and gun, the Big Ben Blast and Dash, coming up October 13th, and doing all kinds of behind-the-scenes match stuff for that as well. So that one is going to be in Rama, Colorado. It's one of the ranges that I shoot local matches here, and we're getting together and we're putting together a run and gun. So this is going to be a 5K obstacle race with 11 obstacles, somewhere in that range, and 7 stages. It's a 3-gun match, so unlike most running guns, you'll be using your shotgun as well. So the way the match is going to kind of work, start out with your rifle, your pistol. You're going to carry those on your body with all your ammunition, and you're going to run, and you're going to accomplish several obstacles along the way, shoot several stages. There's going to be some stage guns that we're putting together, and then about the halfway mark, you will switch up to your shotgun and shoot a couple stages with it, including a 3-gun stage, which is completely unheard of in running guns, so it's going to be a good time. If you're interested in that, check out the show notes, 3gunshow.com/episode 195, and there is a link. The match is on Practice Score. It's going to be a good time. Limited only to 100 competitors, so sign up soon. On to this week's show. The 2018 IPSC Shotgun World Shoot has come and gone, And the U.S. competitors have been forever changed by the experience. Everyone I talked to has said this, that it was an overwhelming goosebump-inducing type of thing. So we're covering the match from several different perspectives because it is such an amazing event and a huge opportunity to come together with people just like us from around the world, forget all the silly politics and everything, and play a game that we all love, even though not always speaking the same language. So I think it's a cool concept, want to learn more about it, and I want to share that awesome trip with you. So this week, we hear from modified division shooter Lan Nguyen. Lan, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Dave. I'm glad to be back. Thanks for having me.
It's great to speak to you. So we had you on the show not too long ago when we were at the NRA annual meeting, and you guys were in full prep for going to the Shotgun World Shoot in France, and now it's come and gone. So we're here to talk about that experience.
Oh yeah, it was a heck of an experience. We basically went to the Shotgun World Shoot in France. It was in Châteauroux, France, which it was or is rather about 3.5 hours south of Paris. So we flew in there, which was a direct flight, thankfully, so we didn't have to go in through kind of weird situation with connecting flights. But we flew straight out of Houston, straight into Charles de Gaulle. It was kind of an abstract experience getting out into France with guns and stuff like that. But
yeah, what was that like? You're leaving Texas, which a lot of people consider to be very gun friendly here in the United States, and you're going to France. What was that experience like?
It actually wasn't that bad at all. I mean, just as long as you follow the directions and you did what was required of you, the actual process wasn't that bad at all. You just had to make sure that you got the proper forms filled out on your side, which is the ATF form 4457, and that basically states that you are leaving the country with serial firearms or serial parts, and that when you come back into the country, those same serial parts return with you. Mm-hmm. So you can't pull up, I lost one over there, and some Russians must have picked it up or something like that.
So was that
pull anything shady?
Was that a different process for you guys since you're a manufacturer, or did you go with your personal guns as civilians?
We went with our personal guns as civilians, so we kept it totally separate. So we went through the regular, I guess, the civilian process, if you will. And again, it wasn't that hard at all. We just had to make sure that you talk to the correct people and you filled out the correct forms, and that's about it.
Cool. So you didn't run into any snags going through customs or anything like that?
No, not at all. Well, coming back, I did, because apparently you can come back with firearms, but the chicken sandwich is frowned upon to return with. So I had to go through customs for a chicken sandwich.
No kidding.
Yeah, no kidding. So it took me longer to get my chicken sandwich cleared than it took Mike to get through with his firearm. So it was kind of a weird experience, but flying out and flying in, we kind of used the whole angle of, hey, we're shooting for Team US shotgun, at the Shotgun World Shoot, and that seemed to really carry some weight with TSA and some of the airline people. So if that's a tip, I guess you would say.
That's a nice pro tip right there.
Yeah, throw that around, and they'll get you passed on through. Actually, one of the processes you have to do for Air France is you have to get clearance for flying with firearms and ammunition, and that typically requires a 48-hour period. I called the day that we were flying out and threw the whole Team US thing around, and we got expedited clearance. So that was kind of cool.
Nice. Now getting that expedited clearance the day before, that would train me to just shout Team USA anytime I wanted anything during that trip. Now, did you find that worked anywhere else, or just the airlines?
Just the airlines mainly. Yeah, it was. We tried to pull that in France, and people didn't really give a shit. So yeah, just mainly on stateside and mainly for the airline people, but yeah, it worked out pretty well.
Nice. Well, so I know that, well, I want to talk about your shooting experience first here because, I know that's, it's something very unique to go and shoot in a different country. Not a whole heck of a lot of people have done it when you consider how big the shooting sports are as a whole. But what were your other goals heading into the World Shoot? Obviously, you have customers coming from all around the world. You have several of your guns that you and Mike built at Dissident Arms that are going to be used in competition. Those are often competing priorities with having a good match. So what were the main focuses of your trip?
It's funny you should ask. I guess it would be my goals shifted mid-trip. My main goal was to go over there and obviously perform well as a shooter in the modified division. Then the secondary goal obviously would be to have good exposure for the company and, of course, do as well as we can as shooters and as well as manufacturers. So the first day of shooting, the first day of the match, kind of my primary goal went out the window because I had some equipment issues. So on some of the bigger point stages, I basically zeroed them due to a dot that wasn't functioning properly. So I started kind of behind. So being said, it was a tough one. And, you always tell yourself and everybody else tells you that it's a marathon, not a sprint. And so there's 30 stages, but when you zero 33 stages and they see either 120 and 140 point stages, it's rough to come back on.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So after that happened, I just kind of said, well, you're here for the experience now. Just shoot the best you can, finish as strongly as you can, and then soak in the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Then the secondary goal kind of got shifted up, I guess, as far as priority wise goes. And it was to see and make sure that our guns were were functioning correctly and our shooters were as well taken care of as possible. So, on our off times, I would go over and, Mike and myself would go over and help the ladies open team out, just kind of make sure that their guns were going good and that they did, make sure they didn't need anything and just kind of help support the team in general. So it was really a cool experience to see that our ladies open team and the Russian ladies open team on the same squad. So we got to watch a lot of good shooting there. Then it was fun to go watch, Josh obviously perform with, he was squatting with Mike. And so I got to watch them shoot a couple of stages. And then it was also fun to, when they were off schedule, and I was actually on my day off as well, we would walk and watch the open Russian men's team and the open Ukrainian men's team as well, and the Czech team. And so, and that was kind of just to put a little bit of pressure on them. And it was a nice experience to be able to do that too. Just kind of walk around, let them know that, hey, Josh is there. He's performing well, and he's going to come check out some of your stages.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I know myself, and I would be tempted to be like the hype man from all the rap videos, where I'm just like shouting, derogatory things like "you can't shoot" and stuff like that. So, were you tempted in that manner? Did you do any shit talking while you're over there, or was it just basically kind of stand and observe and let the presence be known?
It was more the latter. The former would definitely be frowned upon there. They were really polite as far as their shooting is concerned, and the shit talking was more of a minimum. I mean, we're talking about, when they see a good stage or somebody shoots very well, we're talking we're in the land of golf claps and stuff like that.
Oh, you're kidding.
And so no, and that was actually a pretty cool experience too, because like you watch somebody crush a stage. And then you'd hear these little golf claps, and it was a different experience. It was one that I could appreciate, but it's just something different. Over here, you shoot a good stage, somebody's gonna bust your balls on something. They're gonna find something to talk shit about.
Yeah, they want
over there,
they want to take you down a peg. They don't want you to have too much confidence or anything,
Yeah, right. But that's kind of the way we like it, and. If that most people say if they're not talking shit to you or about you, then they probably don't like you.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's our experience over here.
A lot of times when I go to a match, I have like an overwhelming sense of like, these are my people. Like this is where I belong. These are the people that I want to associate with, high performers that like to have a good time and also share the love for, America's constitutional rights. What was the feeling like being with people from all over the world? Just the general feel when you were on the range there for you personally.
It was very interesting. I mean, we talked, when we were discussing just everyday life and shooting and stuff like that. Everybody, especially, I met this French range helper, I guess you would say, over there. So he was talking to me about, his expectations, I guess, of what Americans and in specific how Texans were. And he was thinking, where's the cowboy hat? Where's the horse? And, guns everywhere. And what's funny is
all that's
Mike
true.
Yeah, exactly. And I was going to answer all those questions. But we walked into a store and we were checking. Actually, it was a hotel. And it was a hotel on the way to, it was in Paris. So we stayed a night at a hotel before we flew out, so we didn't have to drive the 4.5 hours from Châteauroux to Paris in the morning. So when we were checking in this hotel, Mike gives him his ID and gives him the credit card, obviously. And he looks at the ID, goes, "Oh, Texas." And the first thing he said, without knowing that we were in town for shooting or anything, is like, "Where are your guns?" Mike goes, "They're in the car." Just, kind of matter of factly and just not even thinking about it. And the guy about shit a brick because I think he was joking, not expecting the answer. So Mike goes in the car and he was like, "Oh shit!" And so that was a weird experience, But everybody, that's what they think. Americans, especially Texans, like we have guns everywhere and we walk around with guns blazing. So, it was a weird dynamic. But I think that for the most part, whenever I was able to tell him what we do and what we are, and and how we approach, the Second Amendment and things like that, they were able to understand it more. And they really do think that it's just guns everywhere, guns blazing. Everybody has a gun. It's on the side of your hip and things like that. I mean, It's kind of crazy, but that's what they're exposed to. And I guess that's what they're told.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the news media portrayal, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
Interesting. So you got the opportunity to, change some hearts and minds. Did it make you consider the reason that you do things that you do in like your day-to-day life and the values that you hold when you had to explain them to someone else?
Yeah, I thought it was an odd thing to have to explain to somebody that your safety, personal and family, should be your own, thing to protect and look after. Because they're like, well, just call the police and wait. And it's like, well, I'm not going to sit there and call the police and wait an average of 10 to 15 minutes for them to come save me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's the whole, the whole notion of self-defense was foreign to them. I mean, over there, I was being told at the range, make sure they don't see that folding knife in your pocket because it's a felony here in France. And I'm like, I can't even have a knife.
Wow.
What if, I have to cut something or somebody comes up to me and starts doing something shady or whatever? I can't have a knife on me to defend myself. And they were like, no, make sure you hide that. So that was a crazy feeling, knowing that just a regular pocket knife. I mean, it was like a 3-inch folder, 2-inch folder, folding blade would have made me a felon over there. So yeah,
allegedly,
it was allegedly, right. And so it was kind of crazy because you were talking to everybody that you'd see people from the Philippines or shooters from America or wherever, and they'd have it would look like they had a blade on them. I wasn't sure exactly what it was, but they would all be felons. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So just that kind of notion is it's crazy. It's crazy to me. But you go there to France, and we went to it's called the Centre des Sportifs de Tir or something like that. But it is this huge, awesome facility that, it had indoor air rifle facility out to 25 meters, I think. It had world-class skeet facility and sporting clays. Then it had all these bays for us to shoot in. It was a former NATO air base, I believe it is what it was.
Oh, no kidding.
And so they turned it into this world-class shooting facility. And so they want to, start. They're putting in the bid for the next Shotgun World Shoot as well, and they want to start bringing in more international matches there. But
they had the pistol World Shoot there, right? The most recent one.
Exactly. Yeah, they sure did. And then they're putting in the bid for the next Shotgun Shoot. So they really want to start bringing these large matches into that facility, and it's cool to see a facility like that. And I know we have some of them here in the States, obviously, like the NRA Winnington Center, and there's facilities like that. But I mean, that thing was just crazy. Then we heard from the Russians that their facility was crazy too, but it was funded by the Department of Defense.
Oh, nice.
So, so that budget's not short.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's interesting. The World Shoot. We've been talking about it in the Three Gun Show and Three Gun Circles for a long time here, and so I looked it up on Google Maps, and they, at the time that I initially started looking up, they had just broke ground, so it was just like a basically cleared out area. And then they had photos on their website. The website's really confusing, by the way, because it's not in English. So, and I'm American, but they had some amazing photos on there. And then watching your guys' videos is just like an absolutely incredible layout and very thoughtful sort of design to the entire range.
Yeah, it was, and the props that they use. I mean, they had some really cool props, and I mean, it was something that you'd expect from a level 5 match. You'd expect a lot of, no expenses spared, if you will. So the stages were really well thought out. I mean, we had to get used to the whole type of shooting with the short, long, and medium stages and the mixture of those, but the way they put that match together in the facility, it really was well thought out, and it's kind of spoiled us a little bit because who doesn't like to shoot 30 stages and not reset one thing?
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Well, it was neat. Let's talk about that IPSC experience real quick. So first of all, you mentioned short, medium, and long stages, and so for folks that haven't listened to a couple of the other podcasts that we've done in years past. Can you explain what you mean by short, medium, and long stages?
So short, medium, long, they have three length of stages or types of stages. And they keep I forget what the exact ratio is, but I think it's 3-2-1 or something to that effect for short, medium, long. So short stages would be something like they're real technical, fast speed shoots. Something like 7 to 8 rounds. Maximum. Usually there's 3 different conditions to start in, or options. There's option 1, which is fully loaded. There's option 2, which is cruiser ready. So no round in the chamber, but the magazine's fully filled to capacity. And then there's option 3, which is totally unloaded. So they had 3 different types. So for the short types, we started typically option 1. And so it'd be, at the buzzer, you'd shoot either 5 quick poppers, a couple of falling plates, and then some play swingers or something like that. So it really had timing in technical shooting there. Then the medium stages would be around 12 to 14 to 16 rounds long. So for modified division and open division, you'd only have 1 reload. For most divisions, you only have 1 reload. So it would be, only test you on certain aspects, typically getting in and out of position and, maybe throwing a quick load in there. Then the long courses of fire, you would have pretty much 24 to 28 rounds. There are the stages that are more what we're used to. You would shoot a little bit on the move. It's not as technical as the short and the medium, but they'd be more like what we would be used to as far as what we'd see in an all shotgun match over here in the States. So Yeah, the short and the medium, you'd have more no shoots, more technical things like that.
Mm-hmm. And scoring different? Does it make it a different game to play with IPSC scoring?
IPSC scoring is definitely a different game to play. So you would have to know if a target. So, for instance, in the short courses of fire, we had a couple of stages that had bonus targets, and these would be double bonus targets. So they'd be worth 10 points, or the equivalent of 2 alphas, which is 5 points each alpha. So they'd have, let's say, 7 targets. Then they'd have the 8th target being the bonus clay. So your option would be either A, to engage all the targets, including the bonus target. So you would get the time that it took you to shoot all those targets, plus the points if you got the bonus points or not, right? So say you shot that stage, you shot all the targets in 4.5 seconds. Then it took you another second and a half to engage the bonus target, right? So the complete time for that stage was 6 seconds, but you got 10 extra points. Well, if you were to do the math on that, if somebody were to shoot that stage in 3.75 seconds, not even shoot at the bonus target, they'd have a higher hit factor than you. So they would beat you. Yeah, exactly. So it's a little bit of a, screws with your head a little bit. So
I don't like math games, man.
for us as 3-gun shooters, we were like, what's a bonus target? You have to hit it, right? Because if the first person shoots at it and hits it, then now it's a required target. And that's what we tell ourselves over here.
Yeah,
right?
That's a good rule of thumb.
But that's a trap over there. Because I told myself that shit over there, shot at that bonus target, missed it, added the time, and then you got a lower hit factor exponentially because, it's such a short course of fire.
Right.
So it was that kind of thing. It's like, well, if you would do the math, and we were sitting there telling ourselves, well, if you can shoot that clay target in 1 second and hit it in the first shot in 1 second, then it's worth it. So that's the kind of stage planning you'd have to do on the short stages.
Man,
should I shoot at it? Should I not? Some guys I was listening to, they were like, well, shit, I'm going to shoot at this target. I know I can't hit it because the no shoot's covering it, but I don't even care because it'll save me a position and it'll give me a better hit factor than if I run all the way to this other side to open the target up, shoot it, and knock it down. So there's this gaming involved that could allow you to not shoot at a target, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So there's a completely different strategy. Like we are pretty much like Neanderthals, and it's just like let's destroy everything we see.
Yep, exactly. And so we would watch people shoot it, or we would shoot it our way, right? And then we watch the next squad shoot it, and we'd be like, holy shit. They would totally stomp the activator. The clay would throw. They wouldn't even glance at it. They'd smash the rest of the plates, and they'd win. They win that stage.
Huh. That's incredible.
It is. And then they also knew that if they happened to miss one of those plates, they would have an extra round in the chamber. So some of us would be, if you didn't take that shot at the clay, they'd have an extra round in the chamber to re-engage a missed clay or a missed target on the ground. Whereas if we took that shot at the clay, missed it, we'd have a standing reload for the missed target on the ground.
Right, and then that just destroys your stage time. Like one reload.
You turn what was supposed to be a 5-second stage into an 8 to 10 second stage. You just basically doubled the time and decreased your hit factor by that much. So it was a crazy game to play. It taught us a lot. At first, it was an odd transition, but I can definitely see how it can make you a lot better shooter as far as technical shooting goes. But as far as the rules and the point systems and hit factor and stuff like that, it's no real bleed over for us as far as the way we shoot and stuff. So it doesn't really that aspect doesn't help your game.
Interesting.
I don't think.
Well, okay, cool. So real quick, let's wrap that up, and then I want to get to the performance of Dissonant Arms as a whole. But what do you think then? Did you like the style of match? Is it something you'd want to do again?
I am definitely going back in 3 years to the next World Shoot. I did like the style of match. once I learned and accepted that it's a different style of shooting, and you don't try to approach it like you do your typical 3-gun shooting, then it is an enjoyable sport, and it's an enjoyable way to shoot. It's just it's different.
Yeah.
That's really the only way you can explain it. Some people love it, some people hate it, but it's, if, like I said, if you just accept that it's different and you go into the game and know the rules, then you'll be much better off. A lot of guys over there are good range lawyers.
Really? So it's kind of like a USPSA type match?
It is. But they didn't take it too far. So there were certain things that I was told that, it's good. They're good rules to keep in mind, obviously. Like, for instance, one of the procedurals I got was a foot fault, but it happened at an area in the shooting, in the stage where a lot of people were stopping for that position. So it was building up the gravel around the fault line. And so in the rules, it says that all fault lines have to be at least 2 centimeters, which is about 1 inch, right? So, basically where I stepped out was not even close to that. And so they said, I could argue that and probably got it called my way.
Dude, that is some range lawyering right there.
It is, but if you knew the rules and you looked at that area and you got that penalty got called on you, wouldn't you use that?
Oh, dude, I didn't mean that in a bad way. I meant that, like, I'm impressed. Like, that is an impressive level of range lawyering.
And the guy was from England that told me about it. He came over. He goes, "Oh, you didn't use rule 10 point whatever." I was like, "What the heck are you talking about? Rule what?" And so he told me that, and then he was like, "Well, it's too late now because obviously you pressed accept or approve," which was actually cool. That was the first time they used, I think, electronic scoring. But once you pressed approve, then your score is set, and that's it. So, but it was a piece of information I took with me for the next couple of stages. Unfortunately, I didn't get another foot fault, but I had it in my back pocket if I needed to use it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting, and I appreciate your perspective on that as someone who shoots a lot of 3-gun matches, who shot a lot of USPSA matches, and man, it's so interesting. I feel like I could talk for another hour just on that alone, but I know we're time constrained, so I want to talk about the Dissident Arms performance. So you guys went into the match with over a dozen guns in the World Shoot. Am I correct on that?
Well, for yes, I believe so. You would be correct in saying that, because for the U.S. team itself, or the U.S. shooters, there were 36 shooters, and of those, we had 10 people using Dissident Arms or Dissident Arms and Briley shotguns. The last person, the Dissident Arms Briley shotgun, would be me and Julie Wasted. We were both shot modified guns. So we shot the new Benelli M2 modified guns that we worked on. But as far as KL-12s and Dissonant guns are concerned, we had 9 KL-12s in the match. We had, from the States, we had 2 KL-12s that were being shot from guys from Argentina that we didn't even really know about. We sold them to one of our dealers here in the States, and then they're exporters as well. So that was kind of weird. Yeah, we were walking down the stages, and I saw 2 black and orange guns, and I was like, well, what the hell is this?
These guys ripping us off?
And I was like, yeah, well, we really didn't know. We knew that we sold a pair like that, but we stopped and looked, and we were like, wow, they did a really good job in making a firearm similar to what we do. And as we kept looking at it, we were like, no, those are our guns. And so we talked to them, and that was really cool.
That is cool.
So yeah, I think we had over a dozen guns. We had, there's obviously some more out there, but a couple of the shooters, from like Sweden and stuff like that, they just couldn't make it due to family or health issues. And so we had a couple of less guns in that regard. But I think for, our first time going at it, 12 guns is pretty strong. and we were able to secure a couple of more contracts when we were there. So
no kidding.
next world shoot, we hope to up those numbers dramatically. But yeah, we had some really good contracts over there that we were able to secure. The overall winner is our shooter, and he was shooting obviously that's the JF-12 for Josh Frolik.
Oh, and Josh Frolik won? Breaking news.
Big JF. Yeah, Big JF won, man. He took down everybody. So he's number one shotgun shooter in the world.
So exciting, man.
Very exciting. I mean, I'm so happy for him. It couldn't happen to a better guy.
Yeah.
He puts the work in. He doesn't hide it from anybody. He'll let anybody know what they need to do to get better. And his attitude is, I'm going to give them everything they want. If they have the work ethic, they'll get up to the top level, but most people don't. So that's where it's at.
Yeah. And one of the most friendly people on earth too. He's just a fantastic guy. Couldn't have happened to a better guy. But so what does that mean for Dissonant Arms? Does that like basically? I mean, are you walking an inch taller now, like with the pride that you put the shotgun in Josh's hands to enable that win?
It's a minimum inch. I mean, it's
yeah.
Probably no. It was very abstract when it first happened, and I couldn't, I can't imagine what it felt like for Josh, because I mean, that's a world stage. It's like, we were meeting and seeing people that you only know about online, and you hear about like all the Russian shooters and stuff like that, and it's just, world shoot's a big deal. It's kind of like our Olympics. It happens only every 3 years, and the best of the best make it out there. So for him to go out there and kind of be a dark horse, he wasn't even on the U.S. Men's team.
Yeah.
So he went out there and he let everybody know. He put the world on notice, I guess you would say. So
it's really cool too. And so I won't ask your opinion on this next part here. This is my own opinion, but from watching from the outside, when Josh wasn't placed on the men's team because of his lack of participation in USPSA, even though he's one of the most dominant figures in open shooting these days, and especially in the sports that include shotgun, which is 3-gun and not pistol shooting, for him to get essentially a snub from USPSA and then to go out and win overall is just, first of all, it just illustrates like how bad the selection process is, and then second, what a great accomplishment for him. And not even as like a told you so, but just as a personal accomplishment. And again, that's my own opinion on that. And I know that you went representing USPSA too, so I'm not asking you to comment on that, but that's the way I see it from over here in the U.S.
No, and I mean, I can appreciate that, but I do have an opinion on it, and I'm not afraid to say anything about it. I think they had to establish some criteria for selection. They didn't have anything set in place. And so, yeah, it wasn't ideal, but now next time Josh does have credential to go, and he can put that on his resume that he's gone through a world shoot, and he does have world shoot experience and a level 5 match experience. And so,
and by the way, a win.
And by the way, a win. Exactly. So I could see it on both sides. It wasn't an easy pill to swallow, I'm sure. But Josh is the kind of guy that he does not rock the boat, but he does take things in and he uses them for motivation. And he clearly used that as motivation. And the results are where they are. So I think that both sides handled that situation the best they could. And I think that the way we approached it is going just to set the stage for the next world shoot. It's going to set it even better for us next time. So, that's where it's at. I mean, you can't say anything more about it. All you can say is that Josh went out there and kicked some ass with a Dissident Arms JF-12, and We're really, really proud of him there. Mike went out there and he did, pretty well for himself as on a world shoot setting as well. We all have world rankings now is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
So even though mine's not as good as I wanted to, I have experience. I know how to approach the preparation for next time, and that's what the takeaway for us for this match is.
Nice.
That our company, it was really successful in what we did there. We were able to put faces to names, like with Canch and some UK shooters and some other guys around the world, some guys from Greece that support us. And so overall, it was a very, very successful trip, for the company and for us at a personal level, I guess you would say too.
Yeah. Well, and you guys have like a dealer network outside the U.S. Is that what you were talking about with Canch there?
Yeah. Well, Canch is our shooter that we sponsor from the UK.
Okay.
And that man has been able to personify his shotgun. And so his KO-12 is known as Helga around the world.
No
so
kidding.
He named her. Yeah, he named her. It's the shotgun is British racing green and orange. And so it kind of looks like the Aston Martin
kind
of color
I know
theme.
exactly what you're talking about.
So he named it Helga, and people know that gun the world around. Like they would come up to us, they go, they didn't speak English, but they go Canch, they go Helga, and we know exactly what the hell they were talking about. So just being able to meet people like that are super enthusiastic about the brand, and they believe in what we do. I mean, that just that for a business owner, that's what it's all about. Just to see somebody as enthusiastic as you are about your own products, that means the world to us. And then just that kind of exposure. It's really good. I guess recognition is the word you would say.
Yeah.
You would use. You don't really feel it so much around here, but just that when you get to the world level, it's just something different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I absolutely do.
It's a different experience, I would say.
That's great to hear. Well, so you guys had several other Americans that were running your shotguns as well, right?
Yeah. So Lanny, she goes with Lanny Oakley. Lanny Barnes, she runs our KL-12. She ran it on the women's open team with Heather Miller and Claudia Vadonis. And they got silver. So that was, they were the biggest competition for the women's Russian open team. And I think next time it's going to be on. I mean, it's going to be a real tough fight. And it's funny because we got to watch them and they were on the same squad. And so, there weren't cat fights, but you can tell that there was a little level of tension and stress there between the two teams. And it was definitely fun to watch.
Really interesting. So what do you think about having teams like that on the same squad? Do you think that made the competition better? Or do you think that kind of distracted a little bit from people's individual game?
I think it made it better. Well, it all depends on, I guess, on your mental fortitude, if you will. Because, I mean, it could screw with you if you were a little bit weaker, and you would let watching people shoot get into your game and dictate how you shot. But those who are confident in their game and their training and stuff, I think that would be a strength to them. I think you'd be able to put the pressure on people and let them know that, better not screw up because I'm not going to.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. It all depends on how you handle that, personally. But I saw, the women's team, they handled adversity well, and they were able to, push back right whenever the Russian team pushed. Our team was able to push back, so it was definitely fun to watch.
Man, that's so exciting. So the usually when we have a match, we're done in 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is. We shoot 9 stages, 10 stages, something like that, and then we have the awards, prize table, and everyone goes their separate way. So the IPSC experience is a little bit different. There's an amazing opening ceremony. 5 days of shooting, and then wrapped up by what appears to be like a formal ceremony.
Yeah, there was an awards banquet and everything to wrap it up. So yeah, and that's what makes me look at the World Shoot kind of like our Olympics, because of the opening ceremony, and you're there representing your country and not just the companies or sponsors that you do at a local level. You're bringing those sponsors and partners with you, but you're also holding your country on your shoulders too, so to speak. So there's a sense of pride in that. That's just, it's really crazy, and it's kind of indescribable unless you kind of get there. Because that was one of the things, like, nothing really sank in until that opening ceremony, that we were in France and we were waving the U.S. flag and proudly representing our country, because it was just kind of a weird thing, because you walk up and you'd say hi to everybody, and then you'd see everybody in their jerseys as far as their country jerseys were concerned. But then once, Ursula Williams, I'm pretty sure you know who she is.
Mm-hmm.
She carried the flag for us. So once we saw her raise that flag, it was just, goosebumps and chills. And I don't know, it was just a crazy feeling, man, to see that. And then to be able to walk through that opening ceremony. Then, like you said, there were 5 days of shooting, but they were half days. And so you shot AM or PM. So you had, the rest of the day to either unwind or prepare for the next day. And so there was 5 days of that. Then you had 1 day off in the middle of those 5 days. And so that was kind of interesting too. It's kind of hard to kind of stay on point and stay focused because it was, such a long match, I guess you would say, with a lot of shooting or a lot of resting in between the shooting.
Yeah.
Some people, I think Dakota Overland in particular, she shot AM one day, so she was off that PM, had the next day off, and then her next scheduled shoot time was the next PM schedule. So essentially she had 2 days off in a row in the middle of a match, and then she had to stay focused, get back, and continue the last part of the match. And so that's a different thing. It kind of drags on a little bit. I can see where it can drag on for some people towards the end, but that's, the most important time you got to finish strong, right? You can't lose focus. And the schedule definitely lends itself to, you being able to lose focus easily.
And that's all part of it, right? The match management of managing your body and your mind focus to be able to complete that match.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so we were, like I said, the schedule was where we would have large breaks and stuff like that, or long breaks in between shooting. So, we stayed at a house with I think there were 7 or 8 of us there. So we were all dry firing on our days off. So it was we're staying in this house in France. It had a large backyard. And so there were like 5 people standing in the backyard dry firing their shotguns in some chateau in France.
Huh.
It was pretty funny too. Just like if the house owner, because it was an Airbnb, so like the house owner would roll up and we'd be all standing there with our rigs on and shotguns in her backyard. She'd be like, "Oh, okay, well, that's interesting."
Hey guys.
Exactly. Here's your towels. I'm gonna get the hell out of here.
You guys must be from Texas.
Cool. Yeah. No, it was cool. I mean, the house had a pool and hot tub and a grill. So, you definitely wanted to relax but you wanted to try to stay focused too. So we had the ability to do both there. So we could grill and then dry fire. And so, that was a kind of cool little, dynamic at that house.
That's great, man. So, we're coming up on the end of our time here, but a couple last questions I want to ask you before we go. What is next for Dissonant Arms? You've got yourself a world title in Josh Fralick out there winning the high overall, and you've been on the world stage yourself. What do you got going next? Back to work?
Oh, back to work, definitely. So So Mike, had recently, we've covered this on the last show, I think, is he recently shut his photography business down, and he's involved with Dissident Arms 100% now. I was discussing, what I was going to do. And so the Thursday before we left for France, I'm no longer going into Capital Cartridge anymore. I'm now strictly on a consultation role. So I'm now devoting myself 100%, 98% to Dissident Arms. I still have to make a couple phone calls and buy and sell brass for Capital, but I don't have to report into the office there anymore. So that's going to free me up. So we're just going to go at it full speed ahead. Going to, basically develop more parts for the Vepr shotgun. Our next product line is we're starting to work on some things for the Vepr and AK rifles as well.
Oh,
yeah. So we saw you messing around with that IWI Galil.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's you're going to shoot that at Red October, are you?
Yeah. Are you guys going to Red October too?
So we will see you there with a couple of the ideas that what I'm talking about.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to shoot that. I'm doing a series, and it's going to be either video. Well, I mean, it'll be both video series and article for how to turn just like a box stock Galil into a race gun, because that's me. I don't want to go and shoot just like a box stock gun in this AK match. I'm choosing open division, and I'm going big.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. We were following that a little bit, and I was we've been talking to Jeremy over there, and then I saw that what you were doing with that Galil, so I was like, I'm pretty interested in seeing that, because I really want one of those. I've always wanted one of those guns that I'm interested to see what you can do with it.
Nice. Well, I'll send you some pictures once we get off the call here, but I want to keep that my plans secret for now, so I'll give you a little sneak peek.
Oh hell! But yeah, so rifles and so we're gonna get into those, and obviously, not obviously, but we've discussed getting into pistols and a bunch of other things too. So I think for the short term, we'll be getting into the rifles, AK pattern rifles, and then we're also discussing the rebirth of modified division here in the States.
Yeah.
So I think you saw a little teaser that I put on my Instagram thing. So some people are pushing back on it. I think that it's going to be a pretty well accepted division. Just think about the guys that have M4s with dots on them, the guys that have, tactical shotguns from Salient or whatever that they haven't shot, or guys that have ported chokes. Because, I've had so many people show up to our matches with ported chokes, and they're like, well, does this put me in open? Well, it will put you in open, but if we have a modified division, which would be somewhat like open light, then, there's a home for them. And a lot of them get discouraged when they get beat by open division equipment.
Well,
and so we don't want to discourage people. We want them to come out and have fun. So
yeah, I saw it recently. There's a young lady that showed up to one of our matches with just a box stock Stoeger M3000 with a tube on it, and it was their sporting model, so it had ports in the barrel, and I was like, that puts you in open, right? And she's like, oh no, I bought it like that, and I was like, well, I understand you bought it like that, but the division, the porting puts you in open, but she's nowhere near the capability of competing in open, so it's one of those conundrums. But with the introduction or reintroduction of modified division, maybe we separate TAC Ops and Limited a little bit more. Just gonna throw that grenade out there.
That's something to discuss. I'm not trying to change divisions, and some people, that's the main pushback. Oh well, you need to leave three gun the way the divisions are, not keep adding divisions. There's such a thing as too many divisions, and I do understand that. My first what I was trying to explore was just in an all steel or an all shotgun match.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get those people out there, and then they can kind of figure out, well, okay, well, I do like shotgun or I don't like shotgun, and then they can kind of figure out their path that way, right?
Yeah, that's like the perfect test bed for it.
Yeah, and so that's the way I see it too. It's like, I mean, the anytime I see a new shooter come out to a match, we typically suggest that they go to a one-gun match, either all shotgun, all pistol, all rifle match, just so they can get comfortable with just the range commands and B, manipulating firearms in a match or competition setting. Because, I can do this in my house, or I can do this under, under those kind of settings, but you put me in a stressful situation, then, I don't know what I can do. Like, I've seen it happen. Some guys seem calm out there, but as soon as that timer goes off, they want to turn around, and wherever their eyes go, their muzzle goes. And it's like, dude, chill out.
Yeah.
Just settle down. So, it's we want to grow the sport. Yes, we don't want to muddle too many of the divisions and stuff like that, but we want to be able to give people a place to play that have certain equipment. So, it was just something that we kind of threw out there just as an exploratory question. And I think that there's a place to introduce it here in the States. And I think that's probably one thing that you should look forward to as far as what we're doing. I
like it. Well, Lan, this has been a great conversation about your experience in France. Congratulations on the win for Dissident Arms and the experience itself. One final thought or piece of advice for the audience. Just give us something to walk away with.
Let's see. I would have to say that IPSC shooting is not as bad as everybody makes it out to be. It's very technical, and it just takes a little bit of research, and just get out there and shoot some of the matches, and I think you'll really enjoy it. And on that note too, you should look forward to, a different shotgun series and some other matches for next year. And that's all I can really say.
I like it. Well, Lan, thank you for your time, man. Thanks for coming back on the show so soon here, and again, sharing your experience, and wish you the best, dude. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me back.
Hey, before you take off, be sure to check out the show notes at 3gunshow.com/episode 195 for links to things that we discussed in the podcast, including your link to sign up for the Big Bend Blast and Dash 5K obstacle race that's going to be happening here in Rama, Colorado, October 13th, 2018. This podcast is brought to you by Armalite, the original. Armalite rifles put the AR in AR-15. The rifles themselves come with 1-in-8 twist barrels, match barrels, 18-inch or 13.5-inch with a 15-inch or 12.5-inch handguard, Timney trigger, Luth AR stock, adjustable gas system, tunable comp, a patented tunable comp. This thing's ready to go right out of the box for a 3-gun with no additional modifications other than putting on a nice optic. I myself use a Vortex Viper PST 1-6 when I'm shooting TAC Ops, or their Spitfire when I'm shooting limited. Check them out at armalite.com. Quick reminder that if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, Podcast Addict, or wherever you get your podcast content, so you will always get the very latest. Thank you so much for downloading, listening, and subscribing to the show. I'm Dave Hartman, and I'll see you on the range.
If you are finished, unload, show clear.